Oh, okay. Hi everybody, my name is Jessica Holyfield. I'm a professional dancer, professional dance choreographer, and dance educator based out of the southeast of the United States. And we're going to be taking a look at Stray Kids. This is their Studio Choom release of La La La. This is my first Stray Kids reaction. I will also say I believe this will be my first analysis or just first time watching an entire routine from them. Normally I see excerpts where I've actually learned, I think I've learned Stray Kids choreo, I think, but I've just never watched an entire concept from start to end. So I'm excited to look at this in this way, and I can't wait to get started, so let's watch. Okay. Okay. Ah, very deceiving chorus. Okay. I like the nuance in how he chooses to present himself here. Hey. Okay. That was cool. I like how it builds different people in the center, different people being featured for the different segments of the track. That does help it be varied. It feels like we have some equal representation of line distribution. That's what it looks like here. Okay. Like cool that it had words right here. That was kind of cool. Pop off. I love the hand waving on that. It's about to pop off. Let's go. Yeah. I really like how this builds. It's a whole vibe. Wow. Oh, did you see that reverb at the end? That was cool. You better pop off. Goodness gracious. Shows all of our dancers on the side. So Whedon Boys, Hulk from Jerk Jerk. Hold on, I gotta move myself. So please hold. Let me see. Performance, choreographer, Hetty Park, Bom Kim, Whedon Boys, Nath, dancers. That's cool. That is cool. Wow, what a start into the realm of Stray Kids. Oh, we're not done. I thought I was. Is this like their ending fairies? I know about those. They're just kind of... I wonder if they watch this and they laugh whenever they see each other on the screen. because they're like, I guess I'm assuming when it comes to boy groups specifically, I really feel I like that little musicality cinematography ending like that where you had the artist Stray Kids. Cool. I think that was really, what an introduction. I think I've already kind of said that, but that was really nice. I have seen a couple of their other stuff, like I mentioned, but this is the first time I've seen an entire concept from start to finish. I'm assuming they had multiple different concepts they were pursuing, and this one is the Studio Tune different version, so I'm not going to overly read into it because I don't know really any of them. The only one that I know of is Felix because I've seen a lot of things on my feed in reference to anything Felix says, and he's the really deep voiced guy, right? Anything he does, that's like the trending part of the track. It's because of how low his voice is. That's what I've heard. So, and I know he did God's Menu when I first heard that too. I feel like that's how most people got introduced to them, but I'm very much excited to learn more from the dialogue and the discussions from a lot of those who are affiliated with this fan base. This is going to be really fun. Here we go. From the top, if this is your first time watching one of my reactions, I do a full analysis from start to finish from the top. I do an initial reaction with no cuts and I don't stop it because I want to make sure I understand the full tone of the concept and not assume or overly project. But now that we're finished with it, we're going back from the top, taking a look through here, but just looking here. Using the piano, so noticing that they frame each other very well. You have two of them that are technically moving, one of them at the forefront, and then another one kind of framing on the outside, creating a really nice level with everybody. And I also don't know how many people there are. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. This is an odd number. I love odd numbers because you're able to frame people. Hold on. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Why can't I count? 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8! Oh, so they have an even number. Very impressive. Going to be very real, and I'll talk about it in a second. But with the piano, and then some of them chose to do a little reverberation while others were still hitting that doon, 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 doon. So that was really cool how they chose to set this up. Framing on the other side, and then coming back up, having everybody neutralized with one of them controlling, pressing them out, using their chest to help project it out. Of course, we have our dancers. Let me see. Yeah, so we do have, I don't know, I really struggle with counting sometimes, so forgive me for that. That's 8. So they have an even number. Very impressed with the fact I don't believe that we struggled with any form of symmetry for this entire performance, and I'm not going to chalk it up to the fact they have backup dancers. I'm going to chalk it up to whoever the choreographer is who does that. I mean, there was multiple choreographers on this. They do a really good job of making sure that it's symmetrical, but making sure that your features are featured, and the camera work really helps in this case as well. I just that never crossed my mind that they were operating as an even number, because sometimes when you have a 1-point feature, it is not going to be as symmetrical on both sides because somebody's either going to be directly behind you or there's going to be one more person on one side compared to another. So that's why. So I'm very impressed by that, honestly. How they furnished to come back out, da-da-da. How they're choosing to step, and some of them are using their shoulders, some are using their wrists, and that's why it's creating this variety of hitting that kind of bass, and it has that reverberation on that back end of it, and it makes it really feel more full because they're not just stepping heavy, they're adding a sense of just texture with whatever joint they're choosing to move. So some of them are choosing to use their shoulders. Some of them are using their chest. I would say he's using his shoulders more. He's using his chest more. Some of them are using their wrists more. I don't know if it's necessarily him, but that's just something that I noticed. That right there, that's just really small, subtle, really great way to neutralize. And then they kind of drop into more of that sumo squat. My one note here that I'll notice is that it is really nice when everybody's on the same page, because when you wear different outfits, sometimes the texture of your garment can influence the overall cleanliness of your set. That's why sometimes in group choreographies, you see everybody wear the same thing because it makes it cleaner. But here they're wearing the same color palette, but different textures, which kind of symbolizes a different vibes of these guys. Now, would I ever wear this in public? I don't think so, but he rocks it very well. If I saw somebody rock this, I'd be like, what thrift store did you go to, and can you help me pick out an outfit? Like, it's very fashion forward, but my lifestyle is very sweatpants on sweats, go to work, right? So, but when you see here, some of them are not fully closing at the heel, so that just be my overall note. If you want to be a really clean group, which I've heard they are known for being very well and executing as a group in unison and cleanliness, those are little things and little details you would want to make sure they're in check. Because if you look, not only just them, but your backup dancers are also not 100% on the same page either. Some are having that full first position with the heels touching, others have it more neutralized. So that's my one note there. even though it's kind of your own vibe here, it's like those little things matter, especially if you're playing around with fashion concepts. That boom, doom, doom, that build up all the way through here. Welcome to that right here, da, 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 with a throw. It really feels like they're trying to vibe with more of that, oh my gosh. Why can't my brain think? Not hip hop, I would say Afro. Like a little bit of an Afro pocket, but not quite Afro technique, if that makes sense. More ponies, more of that open posture, diving through, vibing through, possibly dance hall. I wouldn't really go that far. Yeah, just like all these are pretty clean in how they're choosing to go through the repetition of the groove. It's nice, it's intense, it's important to project, especially if they're singing live. How danceable is it when they perform live? And this does feel like they can really pop off but still stay consistent within the flow of their vocals. I like that boom, da 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 da. Like that was super cool whenever they took their hip flexor and took that foot and used their arm as kind of like a puppeting marionette tool to kind of bring it up. And then do that a couple times, like kind of drifting that leg down as well as swinging that body up. Like dun dun, okay, really fun. That it's just you're using more subtlety, mannerisms here. I don't know if that's sign language for something, not sure. But I love this here where they go here and they just brush it off. Great wordplay there. I'm assuming that's what we're going off of here. And so it's just subtle, and I really like that because it ties into the subtlety of the hand waves that you see later on in the track that's kind of enmeshed throughout. I freaking love that because it's so deceiving when the drop happens at a completely different phrase than you would expect. And I really like that. And so from here, it's really nice to have that kind of intricacy in the build-up because it doesn't feel like this is so out of pocket. And I really like that. The transition here looks really cool. I will say because they do a lot of close-ups, I'm not able to see a full focus. Now, I do know Studio Choom does full focus. I just couldn't wait. I really wanted to see the overall vibe and aesthetic of Stray Kids. And I thought no better time like the present. This is on my feed. Let's watch it, you know? So, but just kind of looking through, I love that where he chooses to have more of that reverb. It's not the camera. It was him actually protruding, using his muscles here and his arms. What really helps when you use the chest, it makes it more full. And he was using his hand to help emulate and help with that. But that's cool when they have their, I like the contrast of colors where you have your Stray Kids members in white and your backup dancers in black. That really does help with the framing and create more depth because Studio Choom is pretty huge. So it's really nice to see more fullness here. I like that bang bang with the wordplay, just kind of grooving over to the side. I would say this caters more towards the dance hall pocket, but I'm not going to sit here and say a single technique that they're doing. It just gives an inspiration of the Afro dance hall vibe, but I'm not saying that they have anything necessarily that's like, that is a step from that. That's just emulating that to me. So forgive me if you do study those extensively and I'm incorrect on my assumption on that. My apologies. I'm still growing in styles outside of my jurisdiction. So please forgive me for that. But when he goes and he pops off right here, love it. The build-up's really nice. Normally with the track like this, they're like da 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 da. Like this is very projective with their tone, and sometimes your choreography can reflect that in not a good way. Sometimes it'll say here and there's no heartbeat or breather digestible moments, but so far we're seeing some really great moments of subtleties, small intricacies with large, huge staccato, extroverted movement with some legato that we see throughout the track. So I think that's a really big note. Kudos to the choreographers, great choices. Yeah, that right there, it's interesting that we have our Stray Kids members being still, your backup dancers covering them up a little bit, which is really nice to really signify and help not see them until the camera needs us to see them. So it's nice for him to have his moment. Easy way to feature him. We're seeing a lot of reverb, a lot of vibration, and as justification for the timbre of the track. And I do like that. Normally you don't see that as often in group choreo. Normally you see very quick staccato movements, but it's nice to see a lot of reverb, and I think they're doing a pretty good job of doing it well, especially as a group. It is hard to get everybody on the same page. So far it's looking pretty good. I like this build up here, this add-on, having everybody in the front. So they decided to do a 3-part build on where you have your 3 and then you have your outside guys and then you have your 2 in the back. Normally what happens in this situation is sometimes we start single and then we add on from front to back, and then they would be add on last. So it's kind of cool to see them kind of make this image and then add everybody else into it. Do you like my picture? But I really do like that choice. And they didn't do the whole, like the same thing 3 times. And I love that. It's a one thing, it builds on, more extroverted. And then we cut to a new angle. It still looks nice, it's clean. Still having your person feature in the front. But what's nice here is that you see all of them peel off to the side, but he's still your feature, because if you notice, he's the only one looking front. Everybody else is looking away or at their hands. And that's another great indicator to signify who your feature is. But also look at this formation. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. You have 7 in it. That's why it feels symmetrical, because you don't have some of the other members. I think we're missing one. He's not a part of this because he was a feature before and he kind of like scooted off. So that's why this gives that really nice symmetry without having somebody be compromised in the back. So I like this choice because they did allow that moment for him to be showcased prior to going off stage. And I really like the fact that your feature looks connected to the rest of the group, because as he goes around and not really threads, but traces around, not even a trace wave, but just a trace in general, it really does help create that legato and signify the legato all the way across, which is super nice. And then he goes up, creates tension in the chest, and they release it as he drops his hand. Love that. Great connection. Then it's very easy to have your next feature in place because he throws his arm, causing them to turn around. Really great way. I've seen guys kick to turn people around. I like having the arm throw. It's just nice to see the connection between your feature and the rest of the group, because sometimes you'd be surprised at how many groups do not do that. Like, it's very isolated in nature. So it's good to see the cohesion here, even if you don't have all members operating at the same time. I like that. Boom, ta-da, throw it. That was really fun. Have your backup dancers come in, creating intensity. Kind of feels like an uppercut or like just like a, what is it, a hook? It's just fun. It's building up from here. That's another instance. I know the first time we kind of had that arm marionetted up, puppeted up. And then this one here is you throwing it, and then you have the leg kind of levitating down. It's super fun. I love it here when you have your backups going, they go, and it's signifying off of the hand in collaboration with the heel, because if you notice, their heel matches their hand, and it's nice and symmetrical on all fronts. It's so nice. Now right there, that's such a rickroll is what it feels like, you know, because you're expecting, wow, I was expecting this to pop off, but it does like 4 counts later or an 8 count later, you know. And so they go with the hand wave, then da-da-ba, and then they just go for it. And I'm like, wow, that's a lot of energy in a great way, genuinely. And so seeing this here, because they choose to go from something so subtle internal, and then they pop off more extroverted with the crossover, creating a really dominant masculine posture when they had a more laid back posture. It's complete opposite of what they just showcased. And that's why it reads so well here. Also, they're all committing with their head. 1, 2, and 3, 4. Super nice. It makes it clean. It makes it full. And they're not, I mean, and it's really good choice of their clothes because a lot of them have more fabric. I mean, look at the ribbon. He's vibing out like it's its own little solo. That right there, da-da-da, boom, and then they pop it up, so it creates more of a vibe of flow. Just my overall note, though, is always discrepancy, making sure that you have it truly all the way up. Little small, subtle things do make a difference when you're looking at a fixed cam. You can see those discrepancies a little bit more, especially if you're dealing with a height. Like, if not everybody's the same height, you can just notice that. That's my overall note. I love that with the overhead right there, protruding and focusing forward. That's super fun. I love that. Da, 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 da. It's just nice, intricate staccato, but still showcases the intensity of what they set it up for as well, which I love. It doesn't drop the energy. That right there reminds me of the God's Menu. So it's a nice little fingerprint of seeing that kind of staccato go for it, and especially if he's having to sing while doing that, kudos to that. And then right here, and it goes la 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 la, you know, with the finger wave. I really love that. It's like, whatever, very nonchalant, la 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 la, kind of like that. And I really do like it. It's a great, that was really cool. Now I need to go back and actually see. It just feels like doom, doom, doom. It's like they kind of just chopped their neck off. I mean, this sounds very morbid, but it's like boom, boom, boom. How they just chose to make that so strictly staccato with that reverb. And it looks like, is he the one singing that part? There ain't no way he's singing that and doing that. There's a really good chance that he's probably not, or dun dun dun, then he's singing that da 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 banana. Well, that's possible, but I'm very impressed at if he can actually sing and do that. Get that boy a raise, I swear. That is very difficult to do because you have to, it's the engagement of the neck, honestly, because you have to engage from the side here in order to create that level of resistance, similar to using your back to make sure you create a really nice stiff full torso reverb or rebound. So it's really interesting to have that sort of resistance whenever you have your vocal cords being something that is a part of what you're doing. So it's interesting to have a feature do that move. Normally it makes sense for everybody else to do it, and he just kind of triggers it, if that makes sense. So y'all let me know if live he actually does that with them. Then right there, da 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 da, bleed it down, super cool there. There's so much happening here, so I feel like I keep stopping so much, but there is so much to talk about. So I really like this where they just completely dropped and switched the groove entirely. They threw it and then they kind of swiveled that foot in to create more of that conversational, negotiative vibe about it. And I love having the frame of the back people with Stray Kids joining in on it, but having everybody do the same thing, but having Stray Kids in white really helps showcase and make them stand out as a group there. I like that stop with the use of the foot. That stop. And then you have you have three, but one of them is hanging out right here in the front with a spotlight like he's a baddie. Let's go. But then it's really nice to see everybody on the side. My one note to my backup dancers, however, is I don't know if there's supposed to be Eunice in there or yeah, I think I just caught him in between, but just be very mindful of the range. That da-da-da, you know, I think it was just more of a nuanced thing than just a very strict militant thing. So I'll just chalk it up to that. But I love that. Da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da. And then you have that peel out from Stray Kids out to your dancers. And then they end up doing a staggered line. And it just creates more depth. It's subtle but effective. Yeah, my one note there, da-da-da-da-da, really use the chest more. But because he's a feature, it makes sense why he may not use it. Because of the reasons I already stated earlier, especially one of them who's doing that huge reverb with his neck. That was fun. And I actually think it's interesting that they chose these three because they're the ones that are featured within this part of the verse. So having one and then having them back him up and then having them be the ones that come in and he kind of sifts out to being backup for them is really nice and collaborative. But then he's still being evolved, using his arms and still using his tone to help signify this broken down body roll is super fun. Throws it away. That da-da-da-da, I really like that swing out with the dancers. That's super fun there. I like this too. If you notice, it's an odd number in the build up, but it's a different person in center and it's different in the build in general. I really like the coloration. The color grade is really nice here. The twisting out, and then he pops through because he created a really great frame for him, but also they're justifying levels in the upper part. So even if we pull this back, it'd be really nice seeing a full range of levels here. And that's something that you want, especially when you're operating with around 7, 8, close to a large group. You are able to do more with that, especially when you have so many backup dancers. There's so much you can do. So it's really nice to see this range, even from a close-up angle. Even that slide in, it's cool whenever he brought it up, they slid their arms and it created way more tension in that section. Having them with their arms up, it's really nice. They threw it away. Yeah, da-da-da-da. So it's really nice how they build the energy of the body with his tone, but it also shows he has to be really consistent with how he hits that in order for that musicality to be justified. So I'm assuming they're very strategic choreographically as well. I would assume with them as artists, they would need to make sure that certain parts they are competent in vocally in order to, like live, in order to make sure that some of this choreography is going to match and be up to snuff for the other context of the other parts of the musicality. So it's honestly kudos to the choreographers for trusting them with those types of things, because a lot of times people don't go on tone because sometimes tone needs to be modified in order for the sake of doing it live for longevity of a career. So that was really cool. Da-da-da-da. Now this was cool. Normally you would see them go straight into the second chorus, but we go straight into a bridge here, and I love the color grade. Da 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 da. It's just, it feels like a completely different song in a great way. The meltdown right here. So notice right here, there's kind of a little pull that they're doing with the shoulder. So not truly hinging out, but that's what creates this resistance, is their use of the isolated shoulder to create a really nice, strong, straight line. Notice the arm placement is really nice because it's fully framing out, but it's not quite symmetrical because his hand's not there. But that's okay because his focus, once again, he's the only one looking front, so he's your natural feature. But that was cool when he hit it over. I'm glad that they chose that side to open first because it was a peel out. Because if he went if the other one opened out, it would feel incomplete or feel like this one was late. So it was cool that as he hit it, that's the side that went first and it traveled down. And also I said this during my initial reaction. Whenever he's here, forever yours. That was super cool. I don't know who's the sponsor of the jacket, but for real, that was a freaking great choreographic choice. If you're like, we need to sponsor this sleeved jacket, I got you. And then they go, wapa! Advertisement right there. So Felix did them a favor. But even just the little details of the hands is really important. You notice how he has it out, but he doesn't have a jazz hands. He has it curved, and that creates more depth and helps frame it out a lot better with the hand. I love that. And then when you have everybody else around, they're all facing different ways. They're even covering up their faces. It's just super cool. And then they go boom, boom. So it helps frame what he has here. They framed it beautifully here. They drop it, boom, boom, up and low. Then everybody else is framing around the outside, creating tension, but not taking away from what's happening in the feature. Yeah, oh, shin. I don't know what they're saying there. That's okay. This feels like they're doing some micro sign language throughout this. That guang guang was super cool. It's just really nice. It's just a nice intense texture shift in that moment, but it's like an interruption, not taking away from what's happening. The tone is still set, and they did a great job keeping the posture, but integrating a new texture to still make it justified in the track. That da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da, they built that up so well. I love that. It still have your feature in the center. Then they use both arms. The la la la. You still have people behind him. They're about to pop off, but look, they're all going different ways. It kind of looks like little waves in the ocean as they vibe it up. And also, this placement's important because if you have it here, it creates a more extroverted depth. But here, that means you got to kind of be on top of it. You don't want to over hyperextend because it creates an overly tense line. You don't want to over curve it because it looks like you're not trying. So you want to make sure that with waves like that, because my discipline, if you don't know this, is waving. So that is the style that I really pick up on that technique a lot more than a lot of the other styles. So whenever you see it, you have to make sure that there's a main line, like a water line, and the ripples are on that line. So here it's important as they're doing it that they're not over exaggerating it or overshooting on either side. So it's really nice to have that subtlety. My recommendation, if they don't know this, is really try to think about strings on your palm in comparison to your fingers being engaged intensity. That's going to create your flow, and it's going to be healthier long term, and you're not going to feel like it's not going to be strained, if that makes sense. That was from shout out Jesse Sykes for that drop of knowledge for myself with waving. Then from here, normally you'd hear them pop off, but they went la la, super chill, and then it goes la la, very much more projected, louder. Great way to drop it off. Again, his fingers are very long and they like artistic fingers. So how he's holding it. And you see my chunky sausage baby fingers? Like, look at that. Mine, if you see, I'm gonna put mine next. Do you see just how not pretty mine looks in comparison to his? And you see, like, I kind of have to do that. It looks like Spider-Man, but he looks like Dracula in the best way possible. Anyway, so they go back. I love the fact that it's just them now because it really gets to showcase them as artists. Just that drop over with the crossover with the feet. Yeah, right there. It goes boom, dun, dun, dun. Very syncopated. Super fun. I love that. And then the drop through. It's really nice to be able to commit to the camera as the feature, but it's really good to maintain that energy with everybody else. I don't feel like the energy dropped at all, and I really like that. So we've kind of seen that already. You know, normally they do like more extroverted with here, but it was nice that they went more subtle for that. Now we have our backup dancers back. Yeah. Da, 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 da. Nice to go different angles here. It just makes it more full. Yeah, and it's interesting that they have these fingers here. So y'all let me know if there's actual reasoning why they have this, because they're doing this a lot. I don't know if it's because of their rings or because that's just how they hold their arms or their hands, but I do like the build progression. So the choreographers made a really smart choice, whoever did the segment, of going and building throughout, because they do things and mannerisms with their hands. It doesn't feel like it's multiple choreographers on the track, and that's what you want. You want the cohesion to go all the way through. You don't want it to feel like, oh, this is obviously somebody else. This really looks nice. Even in the dance breakdown, it's building up well because they're breaking it down in a particular framework in the crossovers, and it makes really nice. And they go da 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 clap pop. It's fun. It's just fun. Yeah, just all of this is very full, and they're using their full range of their back, and everybody's doing it, not just a select few, not just your dancers. And so it's just really tasteful here. Energy is here. That right there, my guy in center, you see how we reverb that? That was disgusting in the best way possible. Do you see this? Look. 3, 2, 1. He went, he went front to back on the reverb. That's how you can tell. It's because normally when you go side to side, you see the hair. The hair gives it away. When he drops down, boom. It is easier to do that kind of reverb dropping down because you look like a robot that's been deactivated. That looks super fun. So he's probably my favorite reverb near that tail end. That right there. Boom. So it's an interesting finish because normally you would have people just pose, but they did a nice syncopated situation right here. Yeah, where they took their hand and they kind of controlled their arm to go back with the pull, and then they shot it up. Yeah, so there's a reason why they do this. I'm saying, I love you. I mean, I love that. That was super fun. I love the fact they stated all their dancers here. Super dope. And everybody held their own. It was really nice. So you always love seeing that when everybody commits to it, not just a select few, because it makes it more cohesive, makes it feel like a fuller picture. And I understand why Stray Kids is so popular, because this was a really entertaining, really fun to watch, and captivating in the shifts of the energy of the track as well as the choreography to cater it. This was awesome. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope I was helpful in some way. If this is your first time here, I'm Jess. Nice to meet you. I have so much K-pop, so much dance content on here. I hope that you enjoy. I have it on YouTube and on Patreon. That's where I have all the early releases. This was early released on there too. So if you are a fan of just dance in general, hopefully I have something here that could be helpful to you, or something just fun, I guess, because I love doing these. And yeah, I hope to react to more of them in the future. So far, we're off to a great start, and I definitely feel like the discussions on this are going to be great. So I look forward to meeting a lot of the fan base on this one, and I will catch you on the flip side. Bye!